Hello and welcome. I'm George Coll to part one of Secluded Mountain. This is going to be a three-part series, and I want to welcome YouTubers as well as U-screeners. On my three-part series, I always invite people from YouTube to come over, and I give my part one away for free. And so you can find that on YouTube. All right, so today was blocking. We covered the whole canvas, I think 99% of it, with paint. We worked on design, and then we blocked in with a very thin, not heavy, paint to create value colors. So it's a good foundation for what we can build on in part 2 and 3. Part 2 is going to be balance, and part 3 will be detail. And sometimes, every time we get into part 2 or part 3, we sometimes have to go back and fix something in part, something to do with design or value. So I don't have exactly really defined things between these different three-part series, because I sometimes have to correct things when I get a fresh eye to look at it. So I'm talking too much. Anyway, welcome YouTubers. Hope you can migrate over and become a member of Uscreen, $9.99 a month. No big deal. Okay, with that, enough said. Let's get to today's painting. All right. Bye. Good morning and welcome to our new painting here. In fact, I don't even remember what I named it. Shrouded Mountain, that's it. Shrouded Mountain is going to be a three-part series here, and I'm working on I think 12 by 16. So that's what we're going to be doing here. And I think what you need for today is your ultra blue alizarin, your cad lemon, or lemon yellow and Naples gray, your siennas, raw and burnt sienna, and Viridian. Also have my titanium whites down here. Looks like I got a 10 flat, and then I have a filbert 6 and a filbert 4. And this number 2 may have been a flat at one time, and I've used it so much it's turning into a filbert. And we will start with this number 2 to draw shapes. I've also got my scraping stuff here and my mixing palette knife here, my trusty T7. I'm working on glass, good stuff to work on. Got my turp to the side, my paper towels underneath, and I'm ready to go. Well, I'm starting to concentrate now on where my shapes are going to be. I'm just going to draw some lines where my shapes are going to be. So I'm going to make some blue and some gray and some raw sienna and some white. And it's just kind of a bluey gray. I'm mixing it very thoroughly. I'm going to pick it up into one pile, flatten it out a little bit, and clean off my T7 with my paper towel. All right, so we'll go through this step by step, and I'm going to load up my number 2, looks like filbert now, and it looks like we have triangles coming in this way and this way, from the left and the right. So we've got to try to figure out where those triangles are going to be. And I want to do some modifications to them. That's too low. And they kind of flatten out over here. Bring it down here. And this is going to be kind of pine tree area right in here. Now, these are very light lines. They could be wrong. Once I get the rest of the lines in, I'll assess it to see if in fact they're in the right place. This angle is a little bit different with the soft, looks like defoliated aspen trees up in here. And then up here I have my pine trees up in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower this first line I put in even farther. I want more up in here. I don't know if you can really see, but there are some mountains back in here that I want to fit in more and have a little bit more emphasis than the photograph gives them. So I'm picking up my first line that I put in, and I put a little turp on my paper towel and wipe that out. So here we go now. And I'm going to even lower this down here. And now we have the pine trees down in this area. That feels better. And then I have, excuse me, I've got to get the cat out of the back room. She wants to come in. She's going to be meowing. We'll have to listen to that for the whole tape. Come on, bro. And here she comes, Miss Barn Cat. All right, here we go. And I think I'm being a little too much with this line. I'm going to reduce this one, bring it down, and uh-oh, she's clawing my thing. Stop it! Sorry about that. As you can tell, this is one take work here. And up in here, I'm going to have some sort of a faded mountain, and I'm going to have it maybe on this side over here. Up in here. Maybe over here I'm going to have sky or smaller mountains. Well, those are some basic shapes, and this is so important. People think, oh, I can rush right through this. But it's very important to get back and change lines as you need them to be. And let's get a little bit more determined on what we're going to do here. So up here it's a little darker with these different designs of darks coming down. So these are going to be the darker trees up here. And then these are pine trees up in here. And then we're going to have some other pines coming down here. Don't need that much here. Let's bring this up. And we will work on that with a different brush. Now over here are pine trees here with aspen behind. And the aspen come down. These beautiful fingers. And this is going to be aspen trees up in here. And then we have another, I think another line in there somewhere. I'm going to spend a little bit more time up in this area where the dark is, with just a little side scrubbing motion of my brush. And you see now I'm defining some of the fingers that are coming down. I'm working on linen on gator board. Linen's kind of expensive, and canvas is just as good too. I also work on a higher grade Frederick sometimes when Mike has some in stock to glue onto the gator board. Mike is my friend and framer, and he makes all this canvas for me. He has a press That's Ottoman Arts. And he has a press table that glues all this stuff together. It's kind of a suction table with heat. So we've been, the last painting we did was Almost Spring, and we're kind of going through a theme right now, these kind of more sultry, this was the one we did previously last week, and you can see that we're going to stay with the theme here of this kind of muted light, and we'll stick with that. And the softness as you go back with the light. Okay. Now I need to go to a bigger brush, and I am going to pick up my number 6 filbert. I'm going to add some more blue to this stuff and some burnt sienna. Blue, burnt sienna, and a little bit of cad of lemon yellow. And you can see this beautiful, subtle green coming out of this. And I'm going to add a little bit more blue to that to make it a little bit darker. All right. My hay fever is acting up again, so I'm going to blow my nose and get ready to load up this number 6. I'm loading it up on both sides, and I'm going to just start scrubbing the side of it. There's like a little snow field in this pine tree area. I really like those little fields to break up these big shapes, like when you have a big glob of pine trees. What can you do to break it up? So I'm thinking of enlarging this snow field here to maybe something of this size. I'm just kind of changing the design there a little bit. I like that. See, kind of comes down, a little bit of a saddle, and then we have these nice simple shape that adds to the design of the painting. And I've got some more of this, so I'm just going to try to fill it in here a little bit better. And add some tops to these trees. Oh, that added a lot, didn't it? That helped the design. I love paintings where you have foreground, and as things go back, they get lighter and tell more of the story, but it's faded. And that's the whole point of what we're trying to do here today. So, what I want to do, I still have these areas here. Looks like we have some bushes here and that are going up this slope. And then we have these interesting aspen colors, kind of a gray orange. So I'm going to get some cad yellow medium, some white, some yellow, some raw sienna. Need some alizarin in there. Gonna need some more red. Now I don't know if this is going to be too dark or not, and it seems to be too dark, so I'm going to add some Naples to it. And some white. Let's try it now. I think that's good for now. And I think there's some aspen trees over in here too. Some other places. I'm going to go back into this gray color we had before. And it's going to kind of be between this gray and this gray-green. And add these trees over here. So you can already see the difference between darker, less dark, and even lighter up in here. Add some dark down in here. I'm going to lighten this gray a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to it. And we have a lighter green back in here. Let me get back and look at it. And let's go back to this warm color we mixed up for the aspen trees and put some coming down the hill here and up against the trees here. I know there's more red in there than things. I just want to try to get a good base color. My first teacher, Liz, called this mother colors. Just get a basic mother color in. All right, let's fill these, run these right up against the trees here. And we'll put snow in this area to a certain extent. Just leave it blank canvas for now. So we're just mapping out where this painting's going to go with thin paint. I'm not really putting on anything thick right now, and would caution you against doing that. We need a real subtle light gray-green here for all this light area without snow. And so I'm going to move these warm colors over and this cool color over here to the side and get ready for a mixture of kind of a light gray-green. So let's get a little bit of, let's start with white. We'll start with then gray and then some viridium. A little bit more, be careful with your viridium, it's very strong, mine is. And let's see what that looks like. It looks wonderful. It's a good base color. Whew! Landed on one pretty quickly there. So it was gray. The gray I'm using is Cold Gray by Richardson. And I was going to show you the tube right here. Or I'm sorry, by Rembrandt. So it's Cool Gray by Rembrandt. It's a nice product. There's many grays. Okay, I'm going to use this number 2 because I'm going to try to get in here. I'm putting it in thin because I'm going to be probably putting in more trees. And if I have to go over and add more trees, I don't want this to be real thick. How am I doing on time? I think we started late. Okay, so I'm getting these areas in here. And if I need to put snowfields in, I can put it in over the gray. I put that in a little too thick, so I'm going to get my T7 and just pick it up. All right. Now, if you still have some of this gray-green left, add some light to it. And why am I mixing with my knife, with my brush? Let me, jeez. Do as I say, not what I do. And now I'm going to add some ultra to this color. Probably too much. Just a little bit. So I have to add more white, more white. Let me go back to a previous painting and look at a reference. Let's see if I can find it. Just give me a second. It's got to be here somewhere. Okay, Ann and Jan, my Zoom students, see, I don't know if you remember that. I want to try to do some of these bluey gray colors up in the mountain. So I'm going to put this to the side and see if I can come up with a mixture that kind of help us with that. Looks like I need a little bit more gray in there. So it's a gray blue. I've kind of faded out all that green I had in there. Okay, this might be too dark, but let's see. So let me see if I can get a ridge of a mountain in here. I want to try to have a theme of a kind of a hill coming down here, with maybe more of a steep area up in here. So it's kind of with a little bit more gray, just a hint of it over in this area. All right, so step back and see if you like your design. And let's then go to your white. Add just a touch of green. I'm sorry, just a touch of cerulean, which is a blue. Just a touch. Too much, George. Too much. Too much. There it is. Okay. So now I'm going to pick up my number 4 and fill this in with this kind of cerulean color. And I mixed it too thick. So I'm going to have to knock that down a little bit. I'm not trying to get excited about this, but I like this combination that we're doing so far. And again, if you put it in too thick like I just did, get your T7 and just pick it up. Well, first of all, I'm going to smash it down a little bit, the flat side, and then I'm going to pick up stuff I don't need. kind of lost some of my beautiful blue grays, and I'm going to reintroduce them. Alrighty, so now with that, let's see if I've got any white left here. And I'm going to add a little bit of a warm sky on that. So I'm going to add just I think I need more white and a good mixing area. So give me a second here to get this out of the way. And get some more white on my palette. White. I'm using good old Winton titanium white. And put a good squirt out there. And let's go out here, pick up this pile, get a little bit of yellow in there. Just a touch of viridian, and just a touch of gray. Oh boy, that gray was too hard. Gotta blend it in good. Let me see what I got here. Oh my God, that's pretty. Okay, so I used a lot of white, a little bit of lemon, and a little bit of viridian. A little bit of viridian. And it makes a beautiful, I don't know what color it is, but it's beautiful. So I'm going to go back to my number 4, and I'm going to be putting that in this area of the painting. So it's kind of faded into this area here. And if you want, you can bring some into your mountain and soften it up a little bit. But this little gray line right here is going to help you define that this is the top of a mountain over here. Don't need much. In fact, you can soften it with your sky color. You can kind of tell something's going on down here, but you can't quite tell too much more than that. I want to just step back and see if the shape of my mountain is going to be working for me. I like this little bit of the sky color coming in here. So we're calling this Shrouded Mountain. So that would be the trick here. Let me see if this is too much up here. Let me knock down some of this mountain this way. And I'll run some more gray up in here. All right, so now I want to check to see what I can do to finish this part 1 block in. I've covered most of the canvas. I mean, there's some stuff here that's not done, but we'll put snow in there. But I want to make sure it's thin, so I'll smash some of this stuff into the canvas and then pick up the excess, because I'll probably be working on top of it tomorrow. You can see I'm just kind of softening those upper, see I'm just dragging that stuff down and softening that. Oh, that was too much. That should have cleaned my knife. So you can see I've left it pretty soft up there. All right. I'm going to go back to one of my darker piles, kind of a gray-green. I'll add some more blue, some more yellow, ultra blue, raw sienna, ultra blue, and a little burnt sienna. I want to get up front here a little bit. Just try to get some darker swatches in here in a few places. Try to get some darks in the base of the trees. Up in here. That might do the trick for today. All right, woo-wee. That was a good concentrated session. And we will get started again in part 2 and work on balance. Well, so tomorrow we get what needs to be darker, what needs to be lighter, what needs to have more chroma, like these beautiful defoliated aspen trees, and the tops of these pine trees need to be more yellow-green. Yeah, all that is balance phase. So I'm cleaning my brushes and taking a nice look at our map, and I think that's pretty good. I'm going to take a look tomorrow to see this straight line across here, if I should maybe dip it or do something, make it a little bit more interesting. But with that, I think we have been successfully got most of this canvas covered, and we've mapped out where things should be on the canvas. So with that, I'm going to bring part 1 block into a close and say looking forward to seeing you in part 2. All right, bye-bye.